What's up, everybody? Mike here with my two for two recordings back to back. First one was a thank you to Blake for some VCLT and a record recommendation. Sorry, it's been a while. A few weeks ago, we had our second kid, a baby boy. So if I look tired, that's probably has a lot to do with it. Anyways, I'll get right to it. I have a lot of records to show, some recent finds. So. I'll just get right to it. This I showed in my last video, but it was a recommendation from Blake for the reissue from Emirate. So I won't say much about it because I talked a bit about it in the last video. Next is Maurice McIntyre. This is a beast of a record from Delmark. Uh, sort of free, spiritual. Uh, Maurice on tenor and sax and flute. Here's the Delmar label. Losing a record. It's really good. Uh, Somewhat of an underrated musician because you don't see a lot of them. But here's Eric Dolphy, sort of a compilation on Epitaph Records. It's has its moments. Next, Ralph Towner. I came across a store that's a thrift, well, sort of a thrift shop type store, and they had a bunch of ECM titles. So I just grabbed them. They were like $4. This is pretty good. McCoy Tyner, Fly with the Wind. You don't see this one too often. It's just a really straightforward, straight ahead jazz recording with strings. It's pretty good, a very good band. Of course, McCoy Tyner, Hubert Laws, Billy Cobham, and Ron Carter with orchestration. And again, just really solid musicianship and uh, jazz, straight ahead jazz. Next is Arthur Blythe. Blythe Spirit. Yeah, let me take it out of here. I still have to clean these guys and re-sleeve them and stuff, but Blythe Spirit, again, Arthur Blythe. I'm sort of building out my Arthur Blythe collection. He's a very underrated alto sax player. If you don't know him, I suggest you look him up, man. He's pretty amazing, and he has a knack for choosing really tight bands to record with. So the musicianship on all of his albums are amazing, and of course, he's a fantastic, extremely underrated sax player. Chick Corea, My Spanish Heart. I sort of have a Chick Corea for me is one of those musicians that um, I don't know. I guess you can say I kind of have a soft spot for him. I usually pick up anything that I see of his. Some of it's good, some of it's bad, uh, but for the most part, everything's at least listenable to me. Uh, so yeah, moving on. Steve Tibbetts. This is an amazing album on ECM. Steve Tibbetts, Mark Anderson, well, Steve Tibbetts on guitar, Mark Anderson on congas, Bob Hughes on bass, Tim Weinhold on bass, and Steve Cochran on tabla. It's a really good, solid performance on the album. This you don't see too often either, and I guess if you read up on it, reviews are hit or miss, but I think it's amazing. Bill Evans with the George Russell Orchestra. It's not your typical Bill Evans recording. Um, it's pretty experimental for Bill Evans, I guess. And his band is, I mean, monster band. They got Eddie Gomez on bass. I'll just go through some of them because it's a pretty big band. Um, sorry, Eddie Gomez on bass, Jimmy Guthrie, Sam Rivers, and Joe Henderson on sax. Ron Carter on bass, Tony Williams on drums. Like I mean, pretty amazing stuff. Sorry, I just got caught up reading it. Yeah, it's really good. And you know, if you're into Bill Evans, this is kind of a different direction for him. If you don't know Bill Evans, probably not the best starting point, but it's still a very solid album. Uh, Dave Liebman, Lookout Farm, again, just a solid all around recording on ECM. There are certain ECMs that I think are must haves from their catalog, and that's definitely one of them. Let me take this out of the plastic. This one is one of my favorite purchases of the last little while. It's Lester Bowie, Rope a Dope, Monster Recording, Lester Bowie, Malachi Favors, Joseph Bowie, Charles Bobo Shaw, Don Moy, and Raymond Chung. It's on Muse Records. I don't know, can you see that? This is a phenomenal recording. I've had it for about a month and I've probably spun it, I don't know, like 20 times. It's phenomenal. Sorry, just give me a second here. It's an album I guess you don't see much either. I was pretty stoked when I found it for very reasonable price. Another ECM title as well, another Lester Bowie title, Lester Bowie Brass Fantasy. I Only Have Eyes for You. That's the title track. Pretty solid band. I mean, if you're familiar with the Brass Fantasy, I believe this was their first recording as a band, and probably their best, in my opinion. Uh, it's a pretty solid recording. Next up, Charles Mingus Charles Mingus Orchestra with Eric Dolphy, 1964. I Hope So, Eric. This is kind of unique. There isn't much info on this. It's an Italian label called Ingo, and they have about 15 albums. Of course, this being one of them. And they have a few live John Coltrane albums, Thelonious Monk albums, you know, just random recordings. I believe they're mostly live. They're mono recordings. There's not much on the label. I guess it's from the 70s, I would assume. But anyways, really good. This is a really good recording with Eric Dolphy, Charles Mingus, Clifford Jordan, Jackie Byard. It was recorded in 1964. Yeah, I don't know. There isn't much I can say about them. I think they have about 15 albums. This is number 10, Ingo 10. But they're pretty reasonably priced. You can sort of search them out on the internet. I found this in a store, and I don't know. I think I might try to get my hands on a few more of them. It's a nice little mini series of recordings. Okay, next is this is a badass album. I just got it in the mail. Michael Gregory Jackson, Clarity, with Oliver Lake, Leo Smith, Dave Murray. This is, and I don't know, it's mind blowing. It really is such a good recording. It's on Bija Records. I literally just got it and have listened to it a few times. Still have to give it a good cleaning and re-sleeving, but here's the label. Oh. Try to get the glare off of it. Yeah, it's really lovely music. If you're not familiar with M.G. Jackson, Um, it's pretty solid. Guitar player, acoustic, electric. He does some vocal. Oliver Lake on flute and soprano. Dave Murray doing crazy tenor sax work. Leo Smith on trumpet. No drums. I guess there's percussion, but there isn't really uh, much going on in drum performance. Next is Giuseppe Logan on ESP. I've sort of wanted this for years, and finally got my hands on it for a really reasonable price. It's on ESP. It's Giuseppe Logan Quartet, and this is a phenomenal free jazz album. It's insanely good. If you're into free jazz or you're looking to experiment with free jazz, this is an amazing starting point. And his band says it all. Giuseppe Logan on tenor and alto, Milford Graves on percussion, Don Pullen on piano, and Eddie Gomez on bass. It's nearly impossible to have that band and have a shitty record, and this proves that point. Next, Miroslav Virtuos, Mountain in the Clouds, John McLaughlin, Joe Henderson, Herbie Hancock, Jack DeJohnette, and Joe Chambers. Another all-star cast, an all-star recording. It's pretty phenomenal on Atlantic. Another one of my long-time wants is Marion Brown, Afternoon and Georgia Fawn. This is another one of those all-star recordings, all-star bands. Marion Brown, Anthony Braxton, Chick Corea, Andrew Cyril, Larry Curtis, William Green, Jack Craig, GMB on vocals, Benny Maupin. It's pretty amazing. Great recordings. First for Marion Brown, there's so much that I want from him. I've been trying to get his quartet self-titled ESP album for a while, and I seem to always miss out on it online, and I've never come across it in the wild. So one day, another Steve Tippett. This is a duet album. Steve Tippett and Mark Anderson, Northern Song. It's a really good album. It's kind of funny, when I first bought it, I was doing this because I thought the album was torn, but it's actually the photograph on the album cover. So that made me happy. Next is Antiquity, Jackie McLean and Michael Carvin. Michael Carvin on drums, percussion, bells, that sort of thing, and Jackie McLean, of course, on alto. This one the cover is pretty beat. Sorry, I'm just peeling off this damn sticker. The album is pretty beat up, but the cover, sorry, is pretty beat up, but the vinyl is outstandingly clean. It's on Inner City. This is a reissue. I think it's only been reissued once on Inner City. It's a very clean recording, and it's sort of unique for Jackie McLean, but highly recommended. Next up is John Coltrane, Infinity. Infinity is another of released post John Coltrane's death by Alice Coltrane. I think I have to listen to this a few more times. I really like it. I've heard it before years ago. I've listened to it a few times now. The players on this album: John Coltrane, Alice Coltrane, Pharoah Sanders, McCoy Tyner, Jimmy Garrison, Alvin Jones, Rashida Lee. It's phenomenal. And then Alice Coltrane came in and did the strings orchestration on top of the original recordings. She actually replaced Jimmy Garrison with Charlie Hayden on the track. I forget which one. But I don't know. It's kind of, I like it, and the music is amazing. I think maybe it's the production or something's a bit off, but I think the orchestration sort of takes away from some of the playing. But I think I have to listen to it a bit more to sort of give a better some better thoughts on it. Last but not least, Interstellar Space, John Coltrane with Rashida Lee. Um, this was very exciting for me to get, and I paid it like 14 bucks, original pressing, and I was very excited about it. If you don't know it, it's just very free duet, improvised jazz, and it's a challenging one. But if you're up for the challenge, give it a spin. I think you'll like it. Anyways, that's it for me. I hope you liked some of my new finds, and hey, leave some comments. I'd like to hear your feedback. Thanks. Talk to you soon.